So
Parshas Shemini is called the 8th day. The reason it's called the 8th day is because there was 7 days of inauguration of the tabernacle, and on the 8th day there was something new, a difference, something that changed, and there was the revelation of the Shekhinah. After 7 days of inaugurating the Mishkan, inaugurating Aaron, his children, and the altar, on the 8th day there was the revelation of the Shekhinah. So the Kli Yakar asks, it seems that the 8th day is not really the 8th day, it's something new, something different. There were 7 days of inauguration. Now this is not a day of inauguration, this is something else. This is when the Shekhinah was revealed. And if that's true, this question is, so why are you calling it the 8th day? It's something new. And so he answers that Kol Lashon Zayin Chel, whenever the Torah uses expression or uses the number 7, it's something which is mundane. But the number 8 is connected to holiness. And he gives many different places where we find that 8 is associated with something that's holy. For example, by a bris milah, the bris milah is done on the 8th day. And it's holier than Shabbos, and therefore pushes off Shabbos. A bris milah is higher than Shabbos, and therefore, when a bris falls out on Shabbos, we suspend, or whatever language we should use, the obligation of bris milah overrides obligation of Shabbos, and therefore we do the bris on Shabbos. Why? Because 8 is higher than 7. He also brings a medrash, which says that Kol Kilusi Shel Moshe, whenever Moshe praised Hashem, it was with the word Oz. It says Oz Yashir. Then the Jewish people sang to Hashem. It says May Oz Basil Pare, from this time that it came to Pare. So Moshe used the word Oz in every time he praised Hashem, says a medrash. Why is Oz significant? Because Oz is, says the Kli Yakar, Aleph Zayin, which Oz means then, but Oz alludes to Echad Reichav Al Zayin, one that is beyond 7. So there is the 7, which is connected to mundane, and then there is the 8, there's the 1 which is beyond the 7, and that is the level of holiness. That's what Kli Yakar says. But the more he explains how special the number 8 is and how holy the number 8 is, the more we have a question. Because the more that we understand that after 7 days of inauguration, it was nothing compared to the revelation of Hashem on the day after, the more we appreciate that there's something new that's going on. And if it's something new, why is it called the 8th? Why is it called 1 on top of 7? It should be called something completely different from the others. Why is there an emphasis on the number 8? There's something which is brand new. Why 8? So you also need to understand, what does he mean when he says that all 7s are mundane? Obviously, 7 is not completely mundane. For example, he says the 7 days of the week are an example of how we see 7 as mundane. But the 7th day of the week is Shabbos, and you all know Shabbos is holy. So you cannot say when he says 7 is mundane, it really means mundane. Or another example he gives is the harp in the Beis Hamikdash, the first and second Beis Hamikdash. The harp had 7 strands, and Mashiach will come, will have 8 strands. The Kli Yakar says, here you see again, the 8 is holy. So obviously, although the harp that will be used by the Levin, Mashiach will come, will have a higher level of holiness. That's why it's not the number 8. You cannot say that the harp of the Beis Hamikdash wasn't holy. Obviously, it was holy. Or another example, it says that all the Torah we learn today is considered insignificant, hevel, vain, in comparison to the Torah of Mashiach. It doesn't mean that our Torah is worthless. It just means in comparison to the Torah of Mashiach, this is considered negligible, but not that it's nothing. It is still holy. The Beis Hamikdash is holy and Shabbos is holy. So when the Kli Yakar says that the number 8 is holy and number 7 is not holy, he doesn't mean that 7 is not holy at all, and 7 is mundane. What he means is that the holiness of the number 7 is connected to something lower than the holiness that is expressed by the number 8. And it's so much lower that we can call it mundane in comparison to the higher level of holiness of the number 8. So that means we have a holiness which is associated with the world, and there's a holiness which is beyond the world. Let's take, for example, in ourselves, we also have a 7, and we also have an 8. The number 7, we know that there are 7 spheres in Atzilus, and there are also 7 emotional parts of the soul: Chesed, Gvura, Teferes, Malchus. These 7 emotions are created by 7 different ways of thinking. For example, Chesed, which means love and attraction. What do we love? What are we attracted to? We love when we're attracted to what we think is good. So different kinds of understanding motivate different kinds of feeling. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of those items that we think aren't good for us. So the way we think affects the way we feel. So, and within Chesed itself, there are different kinds of Chesed. There's Chesed Shebegvura, Gvura Shebechesed, Chesed Shebechesed. That means that there are 49 levels of understanding. That's why the Gemara says, "Is Mem Tes Sharibina." There's 49 gates of understanding. The 49 levels of understanding are what create the 49 feelings. So these 49 kinds of feelings, the 49, as we have in Sfir Seimer, throughout Sfir Seimer, we're supposed to elevate one of all of the 49 kinds of emotions. These emotions and their counterparts, the intellectual paradigms that produce these emotions, they could be holy if the godly soul overcomes the animal soul. The animal soul also has 49 kinds of feelings and 49 ways of thinking that produce the animal soul's kinds of feelings. So the godly soul and the animal soul war with each other on how we should feel, how we should think. So if the godly soul is victorious, so then it's possible to create something holy out of that holy feelings, holy good feelings. The godly soul could win the animal soul, but even if it wins, it's what's happening is that there is something which is human, artificial, that we're producing that's holy. It's something which could be holy or not holy. If the animal soul wins, it's not holy. If the godly soul wins, it is holy. That's the meaning of the number 7. Number 7 is holiness that we're able to create on our own. Then there's something else. We have inside of us the pintliyit. We have inside of us our core, which is one with Hashem, which is beyond, which just like Hashem doesn't change, so do we have a part of us which does not change and is faithful to Hashem and nothing could shake its bond with Hashem. And even while a person is committing a sin, it's still faithful to Hashem, and nothing can shake this bond. And every so often, it's this part of our neshama comes to the fore, like it says in Tanya, when a Jew is challenged to kill himself or to bow to an idol, the Jew chooses to kill himself or to allow himself to be killed, because this connection to Hashem is far beyond anything else that the person is interested in. So much so that Alter Rebbe says that even a person who was involved in all kinds of physical passions all of his life, and he was into the most earthly things his whole entire life, kosher and non-kosher, when this kind of challenge comes in his life, all of the things that he thought were so important all of a sudden vanish and become insignificant to him completely. Kolohoyu, as if they never existed. So that level of neshama, this pintle yid, is something which is something Hashem gave us. So that's something which is beyond the 7, something which is higher than the mundane, higher than something that holiness that we create ourselves through our thinking and our feelings. This is, however, the novelty of what the Klei Yakar and the Medrash say, that Moshe Rabbeinu's praise of Hashem was Oz. What's Oz? one on top of 7. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu's praise wasn't the essence of the neshama only. It was the one which is on top of the 7. In other words, the 3 ways of serving Hashem. There is the 7, that you're trying to use your mind and your heart to create a connection to Hashem, using your understanding of godliness, trying to rouse your neshama. Then there is a higher level of serving Hashem, which is the number 1, which is which is arousing the essence of your neshama, which has all the pleasures of this world are meaningless to it. But the highest level and the goal is, when Moshe Rabbeinu's praise of Hashem was Oz, 1 on top of 7. That means that the Mesiras Nefesh and the Emunah that comes from the essence of the neshama permeates the way we think and the way we feel. So it's not just a man-made understanding that we generate with our understanding, but rather the essence of our neshama is revealed in our persona, in our natural feelings, and so that it's not something which is not connected to the other 7. It is connected to the other 7. This part of the neshama, the Pintele Yid, makes me think differently and feel differently, so that my thoughts and feelings are in sync with who I am as a Jew, with my very core. This is why the prophecy of the coming Mashiach, which we said before, that the Mashiach will come, the harp will have 8 strands. The emphasis is the number 8, 1 on top of 7. What's the idea of the number 8? 1 on top of 7. When Mashiach comes, it says, the glory of Hashem will be revealed, and all flesh will see Hashem. What's the meaning of all flesh? All flesh means that it's not that Hashem will reveal himself to us and we'll go to some other world. Rather, in the physical world itself, the revelation of Hashem. That's the idea of the 1 on top of 7. That it's not just a revelation where we stop to exist or we explode, but the revelation is within us, in this world. That's also the idea of the 8th day of the inauguration of the Mishkan. The 8th day means that it's not something which is not part of the days before. It's a new revelation of Hashem, which is not associated with their efforts. Rather, the revelation of the Eibishter is in the work of their hands, in this world. Take, it is something which is incomparable to what they could achieve. But this highest revelation of Hashem comes into the world. So in short, the message that the Torah is telling us with the number 8 is, the Shemini, is that there's the goal of serving Hashem is not that we should be only serving Hashem with our mind and heart, and not either that we should only serve Hashem with the essence of our neshama. The goal of serving Hashem is, the highest level is that our thoughts and feelings are impacted with the way we are in our core, so that I'm able to think deeply into who I am as a Jew, and for that to guide what I think is important, what's not important, so that my persona, who I am, the way I think, the way I feel, is an expression of my very essence. There was a chas, the Baal Shem Tov. He came to Baal Shem Tov. He asked Baal Shem Tov, I want to learn how to eat. Baal Shem Tov said, go to Yankel. Yankel teach you how to eat. So he went to Yankel. And Yankel had this huge breakfast, huge lunch, and the guy couldn't keep up. The guy was eating so much. So he asked Yankel, tell me, Baal Shem Tov told me to come to you to learn how to eat. Why do you eat so much? What does this mean? I can't eat as much as you. So Yankel told him, and I heard different versions of the story. One version I heard was, when he was a child, he saw a Jew being beaten up, and then the Jew was burnt alive. So he said, if that happens to me, I want to burn for a long time. Another version of the story, I want to be larger, so that they'll be frightened of me, he's all to protect the Jew, whatever it was. But the point is that although he's eating, and he's eating a lot, but what is going on in him while he's eating? What's he thinking about? He's thinking about Mesiras Nefesh. He's thinking about giving himself over to Hashem. So it's not about number 1 or about number 7. It's about that we may be doing lots of things, but our Mesiras Nefesh has to be what's in our minds. Mesiras Nefesh has to be the way we think. Coming from Purim, Esther. Esther was in the lap of luxury. She's a queen, and yet she knew she had a mission of Mesiras Nefesh, and that's what guided her. This sense of devotion to Hashem. I think I need a Fabrenga to really flush this idea to really understand it. But let's continue to think about it and bring it home. Have a great day. Good Thank
you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.